whatever.
Yeah, that's why. Please don't interrupt me when I'm
rather obsessed with my work, so I appreciate it. Piers, I'd like to get back to the point at hand.
Yes.
So
I'm sorry,
again,
were you
women
talking,
supporting
girl?
women, be quiet while I talk.
No, you
Okay.
talk
Very
to
feminist
me.
of you,
We
Francesca.
listen to you.
Francesca, can you let another woman speak, please?
Yeah.
No.
So much for being a
I'm not going
feminist.
to, because you talked about Harris. So much for being a feminist. Can you let another woman speak? I swear to God, revoke all of their vaginas. Revoke the vagina, including Piers Morgan's. Take his vagina first.
Francesca Fiorentini was a guest on Piers Morgan's show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, where she was part of a panel that included Tomi Lahren, and the topic that we're going to take a look at that they were discussing was professional athletes having political opinions that they share, as well as protests from professional athletes. As you can imagine, as she always does when she appears on Piers Morgan's show, Francesca Fiorentini got in a lot of good one-liners and also some great points. We're going to take a look at these clips from Piers Morgan Uncensored, as well as Francesca Fiorentini's own show. Let's check this out together.
And that said no homophobia on it. I don't care enough about this story. That's sort of what I'm trying to tell you. This is just bait. But I do catch Tomi Lahren because she's very vocal about athletes and whatnot. And then she has nothing to say to my response. Although I did want to talk about Butker.
Common sense as usual.
No, but I thought we were talking about Harrison Butker. I didn't get any bite at the Butker apple here.
We'll have a bite of the Butker apple. Go on.
We all know what we're going to say, so we can just summarize that.
Yes.
Girl, don't you have a Beyonce album to get pissed off about?
This because it's something.
She's in a cowboy outfit.
Okay.
Ooh, she got an American flag on. She thinks she's a country singer. I'm sure you've got a few videos
said
to do
anything
about
that, but.
So this is Tomi going, she goes, we can just summarize what she's going to say because we know what she's going to say. But the real thing is, and so then I said, girl.
So I got to interrupt for just a second, but I love when Francesca Fiorentini does her Tomi Lahren voice because it's great. She's done this before on Piers Morgan show and it's awesome.
Don't you have a Beyonce album to get mad at? She got an American flag on. Ooh, she thinks she country. And you know she does. I haven't checked her YouTube channel. I don't give a fuck. But I guess she's moved on from getting mad at Beyonce. Oh, getting mad at Black Panther Beyonce at the Super Bowl. This is her favorite fucking thing, is to talk about artists and performers at sports events. Like she comes from the world of sports. So there you go.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's why. Please don't interrupt me when I'm
rather obsessed with my work, so I appreciate it. Piers, I'd like to get back to the point at hand.
Yes.
So
I'm sorry,
again,
were you
women
talking,
supporting
girl?
women, be quiet while I talk.
Support women and be quiet while I talk. So I'm like, I would like to bite at the Butker apple, and then they're like, I'm gonna actually just keep talking or something. Then they start talking over me, and I'm like, not gonna happen. No, you
very feminist of you, Francesca.
Francesca, can you let another woman speak, please?
Yeah.
And every time, the nerve of Piers Morgan to say this, can you let another woman speak? Every time that Francesca Fiorentini is on Piers Morgan Uncensored, the whole panel, which is everyone else other than Francesca Fiorentini, is almost always right-wingers. They all talk over her the entire time, and she's barely able to get a word in edgewise. So the nerve of Piers Morgan to actually tell Francesca Fiorentini to let somebody else speak is just unbelievable.
No,
so much for being a feminist.
I'm not going to, because you talked about Harris. So much for being a feminist. Can you let another woman speak? I swear to God, revoke all of their vaginas. Revoke the vagina, including Piers Morgan's. Take his vagina first. Like, I love the idea that I'm supposed to be in solidarity with you. I will squirt breast milk in your fucking eye, bitch. Harrison, and now I'm going to talk about Harrison. Harrison Butker's mom is a physicist who works in an oncology department. So? All this is a bunch of mommy issues that he laid out at a bunch of female graduates who are trying to celebrate this incredible achievement. And he tells them that they have been told a diabolical lie. I mean, that is absolutely disrespectful and degrading. You want to talk about women's rights? They've just achieved this. The other thing is the rest of his speech was about, oh, what happened to the Catholics and all the good Catholicism and where have we gone awry? And why don't we respect priests anymore? Gee, I wonder why we don't respect priests anymore. Can anyone think of what's happened to the priesthood in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
And this topic that they're discussing here was from a while back when, a few months ago, when Harrison Butker made his speech at a conservative Catholic school, and he talked about women's most important job being mothers and blah, 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 all that. And I wanted to share this video, even though this wasn't a brand new topic, because it's so relevant to what is continuing to happen in our country. We just had the Supreme Court, as of the time that I'm recording this video, yesterday, side with Texas in allowing hospitals in Texas to not provide emergency abortions to women who could possibly die, to not allow women who are pregnant to have emergency services because they could possibly die from their pregnancy. The Supreme Court ruled to allow Texas to continue deciding not to provide emergency services to those women. So this is going to be an ongoing thing. Women's health and women's rights is going to be an ongoing thing right up until the election and beyond. No matter who gets elected, we're still going to have this conservative Supreme Court having rulings like this that are negatively affecting women's health. Now then, they move on Piers Morgan Uncensored, they move on to the topic generally of professional athletes protesting. So let's take a look at that.
You can
Every
do whatever
time they
you
do
want,
that.
but people are going to criticize you for it. Yeah.
Right.
You can do
But it's beyond that. They're like, they want you off the fucking team. They think you're un-American.
athletes can do whatever they want. If Colin Kaepernick wants to sit or kneel or do whatever he wants, he's more than willing to do it.
Colin Kaepernick, the only guy who was literally canceled because he knelt during the national anthem, actually canceled, cannot get a contract, cannot get employed by the NFL. If Colin Kaepernick were a right winger, this is what I hate about the left sometimes, man. Colin Kaepernick should be our hero every single fucking day. The Democrats should trot him out, right? It's like the right has their Kyle Rittenhouses. We should have our Colin Kaepernicks, but we don't. He was actually canceled for standing up against police brutality by kneeling for the national anthem.
And this is one of these things where the right wingers are constantly talking about freedom of speech, crying about freedom of speech. And this is not actually a freedom of speech issue in the case of Colin Kaepernick because he was working for a corporation. It wasn't the government censoring his speech. But in the way that right wingers like Tomi Lahren use freedom of speech, his freedom of speech was violated. And I've had conversations with right wingers that I know in my, MAGA right wingers that I know in my own life who will complain about, they'll talk about BLM and the protests and they bring up looting and fires and all that kind of stuff. And then you say, okay, what kind of protesting would you want to be done? Well, peaceful protesting. And then you say, well, Colin Kaepernick, all he did was silently kneel. Well, I'm not in favor of that. Well, you just said that you want nonviolent protests. Well, yeah, but that's disrespectful to the police. So it's like you don't actually believe in protest at all. The right wingers now, the MAGA people, I'm fully convinced if they had been around during the Boston Tea Party, would be saying, oh, look at these terrorists throwing tea into the harbor. You know they would.
We still don't talk about this enough.
But we're talking about a separate issue here. The national anthem
we're
is
not. That's
traditionally
literally the
played
same thing.
there are
It's
people that have
personal
fought and died for
expression.
their country
It's being required. It's being required. And if you say you shouldn't be required to do anything you don't want to do, that's the same thing. Look, there was a player on the Mets, right? Forgetting his name right now, but he was from Vieques, Puerto Rico, and he would never stand for the national anthem. Why? Because Vieques is a U.S. military base that bombed that corner of Puerto Rico time and time again. There's incredible toxins in the water, and he wouldn't stand for it. And then eventually part of the contract was, you better stand for this or we're going to boot you off the team. So he did. He started doing it, right? That's what I'm saying. It's every single individual club's decision as well as that player's decision. Okay, so that is my argument. That was Carlos Delgado. I'm sorry, Carlos. He had a contract with the Mets, I think in like 2006 or 7 is when he started playing for the Mets. And he would never, wherever he was playing before, which I think was Miami, he would never stand for the anthem. And me, my little anarchist heart was like, fuck yeah, I love Carlos Delgado. Also, I was a Mets fan. Clearly, I know nothing about sports now. But, you know, when you live in New York, you got to pick a team. I picked the Mets, even though people hated me for it. But go Mets, even though fuck Jerry Seinfeld because he's a Mets fan. But this was true. Part of his contract was, dog, you're in New York. 9/11, blah-de-blah, mumbo jumbo, hey, I'm walking here. You better stand for the national anthem. And he did. He had to. I didn't like it. I never stand for the national anthem, but he had to. So it was his protest to say, I protest what's happening in Vieques. But again, that's the club. That's their prerogative, man. This is part of the job. He stood for the national anthem because it was in his contract. It wasn't in Colin Kaepernick's contract to stand for the national anthem. That's not what happened. That's not what went down. But it was in Carlos Delgado's contract. So, yeah, you want those millions of dollars? Then you better fucking put on the no homophobia patch. You better stand for the national anthem. Do you know what I'm saying? Does this make sense? This whole like personal expression, I don't know. The companies we all work for do a lot of shit that I don't agree with.
This is a hot take, but with the national anthem in general, I have never understood why we even have the national anthem at sporting events among domestic teams. It makes total sense, and I'm fully in favor of the national anthem at the Olympics or in an international competition. But if, you know, high school A is playing a football game against high school B across the town, we're all Americans. Do we have to have the national anthem for that? I know people would just lose their minds over that idea, but I don't understand why we even play the national anthem except in international sporting events. I know it's just political propaganda. It's all part of the rah-rah America stuff. But back to Francesca Fiorentini. I love it when she's on Piers Morgan show. This wasn't as heated as some of I posted one recently where she told Piers Morgan to shut up. That was a great one. But this was way less heated than what we often see. But I wish we could get Francesca Fiorentini against Tomi Lahren on Piers Morgan show every week because it's so much fun to me, especially when Francesca Fiorentini does the Tomi Lahren voice. But what do you think? Do you agree with what Tomi Lahren had to say here? Do you agree with what Francesca Fiorentini had to say? How do you feel about Francesca Fiorentini when she goes on Piers Morgan show? Should she be on there more? I think she should. Make sure to leave me a comment about Francesca Fiorentini, Tomi Lahren, Piers Morgan, anything else that you want to comment on. I love to read your comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. This helps me to continue growing the channel. I'm closing in on 25,000 subscribers. I was just at 10,000 a couple of weeks ago. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure to do so to help me to continue to grow and bring out more content like this. This is Chris on Culture. I will see you in the next video.